Welcome to my channel. In this video I will show you the global version, the original, brand new top 5 best-selling mechanical watch in 2025, product on Aliexpress, with discount price. Check discount price and buy from description below link. As someone who typically finds himself out in the wilds wearing a watch, I feel qualified to counter the assertion that mechanical tool watches are mere gimmicks. I have dived, climbed, skied and hiked in all conditions with more mechanical watches than I can count, and I have always considered them vital companions on these adventures. But personal sentimentality aside, I base my argument on two main points: technology and psychology. Despite the advent of dive computers that track depth and know deco times and multifunction watches with altimeters, heart rate monitors and barometers, there is still room for the mechanical analog watch as a backup device. The most obvious argument is the one many defenders of traditional watches trot out: batteries fail, electronics go haywire. The battery in my Suunto Vector lasts a year if I'm lucky. In below zero conditions, all bets are off. Yes, mechanical watches can fail too, but it's typically not as immediately catastrophic as when a digital display goes blank. As the saying goes, two is one is none, meaning that carrying only one instrument without a backup is as good as not carrying one at all should it fail. Believe me, it happens, and I always wear not only a dive watch, but also a mechanical depth gauge when I dive. But the mechanical watch need not only be a backup. There are still things a good old analog watch can do better than state-of-the-art digital gadgets. Here's an example. A digital dive watch, which is an indispensable instrument to be sure, does a terrible job displaying elapsed time for anything other than a diver's total time underwater. One of the most effective ways to navigate underwater is to determine how long it takes you to swim from one point to another. Set the bezel on your submariner as you begin your swim along the reef. When the air in your tank or your prescribed no deco time means it's time to turn for home, you can note the elapsed time, reset the bezel, and count on roughly the same amount of time to swim back to where you started. Try that with a dive computer. The most obvious argument is the one many defenders of traditional watches trot out: batteries fail, electronics go haywire. To cite another, more terrestrial example, consider the mountaineer hunkered in his tent or embarking on his dark alpine start, protected from the elements under layers of down and fleece, and wearing bulky gloves. Should he need to check the time in the dark, activating a push-button backlight on a digital watch requires removing a glove. Should the glove be lost, his hand is exposed to the elements, possible frostbite, and on to possible worse fate. The luminous, easy-to-read dial of an analog watch, which also has the advantage of being less susceptible to extreme cold than the battery-powered counterpart, is a far better suited tool for simple timekeeping. Don't just take my word for it. Countless modern-day mountaineers and polar explorers, from Sir Ranulph Fiennes to Mike Horn to Ben Saunders, have relied on mechanical timepieces, as much for their better reliability in harsh conditions, as for psychological reasons. Because yes, there is something reassuring about wearing a sturdy watch assembled by human hands, and in using age-old mechanical technology to tell time while facing danger and uncertainty. This unites a watch's owner with a tradition of tool watches, a connection that ties Louis Blériot's 1906 Zenith to Felix Baumgartner's. When the going gets rough, I'd rather see the reassuringly calm sweep of a mechanically driven seconds hand, powered by my own body movement, than a cold digital display telling me my time is almost up. This may be an intangible asset of the mechanical watch, but no one can deny the importance of morale and psychology to the adventurer. For centuries, mechanical watches were revered as objects of privilege. They were indispensable tools reserved for the military or highly specialized professionals in certain disciplines. They were works of art worn by the most elite members of society. As the world evolved and things like basic timekeeping became more accessible to the population at large, watches became more and more mainstream. By the early 1900s, we had shifted from the pocket watch to the wristwatch, and fast production. The watch industry experienced a similar dilemma around the turn of the 21st century, with the smartwatch's debut, which led watchmakers to once again question if these mechanical timekeepers could continue to remain relevant in a tech-centric world, where they're no longer needed for their functionality. In both instances, brands soon realized that all types of watches could coexist, serving unique purposes and meeting the needs of different consumers. Many watchmakers have expanded their catalogs to include quartz or smartwatch alternatives, alongside their mechanical offerings. Time and time again, the mechanical watch has persisted. It survived the quartz crisis and the dawn of the smartwatch. And now, The time has come for the watch industry to contend with its next challenge, artificial intelligence. These choices may be out of date. All of these products may not be in stores. We don't know when this will be back in stock. You need to go Best Mechanical Watch in 2025 review link to see the most recent updates to the list. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel.